Well, hello everyone. It's will.i.am, the Bowtie Sober Guy, coming at you live Sunday. How's everybody doing? I'm so excited to be here. I've been absent for a week or so. I've been doing some stuff with Bowtie Living in my business that is pretty exciting, and so it's kind of taken me away. But I'm excited to tell you that I think I'm going to get to a set schedule for my Bowtie Living lives here on Facebook. And right now I'm looking at doing Sunday nights like tonight, and then also adding either Wednesday or Thursday evening doing a live. So not quite sure yet. Don't know exactly what times of the day those are going to be. But I'm excited to try to get to a set schedule and give you guys something to look forward to, and the same time each and every week. So, and I'd like to do at least 2 a week is what my goal is. So rather than just once a week, I'd like to do it twice a week. So glad you guys decided to join me tonight. Like I said, it's Sunday night. And here in Colorado, we're getting snow and cold. It was kind of crazy. January was one of the driest Januaries we've had. We had like nothing for snow. And ever since it turned into February, we've gotten nothing but snow. Now, nothing like back in the day when I lived in Minnesota and where I grew up. But we've had a lot of snow and it's cold. And there was supposed to be some more coming tomorrow, I think. So, but I love it. I actually like the change and the difference. And we got a bunch on, I don't know, was that Thursday or Friday? We probably got 10 or 11 inches here at home, so kind of fun. But anyways, enough about the weather. I have a friend of mine that actually calls me the weatherman. It's kind of funny just because I wear a bow tie, so he says I look like a weatherman. So I am not a weatherman. I am the Bowtie Sober Guy. So thanks for jumping on, everybody. And as I had posted earlier today, I wanted to talk about circles. You guys are probably like, circles? What's he talking about, circles? I know what a circle is. It's round and that kind of thing. Well, one of the things that I have learned over the last few years in this journey that I'm on is what we call staying in your circle. And it really has to do with control and what we have true control over, and not what we think that we might have control over, and how we take this control, these expectations, this way of thinking and this way of living, and try to really push it on other individuals. And really, we don't have the ability to do that. And so what talking about living and staying in your circle is, it's really about, imagine yourself standing on the ground and draw a circle around you. And that circle is really all that you can control. And really the only thing that fits inside that circle is ourselves. And that's really the only thing that I have control over. And those things are, I have control over my actions, my reactions or responses to other people, my attitudes. A lot of times, how many of you feel like you can control your attitude? Well, hopefully you can. But there are times when our emotions take over, and all of a sudden we let that emotion control our attitude, rather than us staying in our circle and not letting that emotion take over, but actually taking control of that emotion ourselves. Another big thing, and I've talked about this in Bowtie Living, and the B in Bowtie Living stands for our beliefs, and our beliefs that we care about ourselves, we care about the world, we care about whatever it might be, others, jobs, all these things. We carry all these beliefs. And as I explained about, beliefs, a lot of them can be very empowering, but also beliefs can be very negative and hurtful. And so we have control over that, though. We have control over what beliefs we carry about ourselves, about other people, about situations and circumstances and all of those kinds of things. So, really, when we talk about your circle, think about that circle. If you drew a circle around yourself, that's really all we have that we can control. And what's really cool about that is it's very empowering if you think about that, because now all of a sudden we don't have to try and control all these other situations or all these other people or all these other circumstances, because many times those very things we just can't. We don't have the ability to make anything happen in those situations or circumstances. They just are what they are. But I know for me, I lived in this world where I wanted to control everything. And it took me to such a bad place that I felt like if I didn't control, if I didn't perform up to a certain level of expectation, or if I didn't do something that someone else expected me to do, that I took it even further than a lot of people do, and I thought I was a failure, I wasn't worthy, I didn't deserve anything. And in reality, that's not true. It's not true at all. But that was a belief that I had. And so what I've learned to do in this process of Bowtie living is really to stay in my circle and to understand what it is that I have control over. And those things are my attitudes and my actions and my reactions, how I bring myself to a situation. Things like getting up, this is such a funny thing. So getting up in the morning, right? How many of you are morning people? I know it's funny. I'm actually a morning person, and a lot of people aren't, and that's fine. It doesn't matter, but I am. I'm a morning person. I actually enjoy getting up early in the morning, and it's dark out still, and all of that. And I do some things in the morning to kind of get ready for the day, but I do have control over that, right? I have control over whether or not I get up in the morning. And I have a good friend of mine that has decided to get up a little earlier, speaking of that, and start working out a little bit. And he's doing 15 or 20 minutes and doing some things first thing in the morning. And that's a choice. That's in his circle. He has the ability, just like I have the ability when I want to get up early, I can get up early. That is something that I can control in my circle. Now, there are so many things that I used to want to try to control. And I would do everything in my power, and I had no control over that. And what would happen was, because I didn't have that control, I would take it as this personal assault on myself and my being and who I was, because I couldn't control it. And that is so not true, because that does not live in our circle. And our circles are these things that give us the ability to really think differently and much more simplistic about things. Now, there's still a lot in there that have to do with us. And it's how we show up. How do you show up at work? How do you show up in your relationships, whether it's to your spouse, or how do you show up to your kids, or how do you show up at work, at church, or other small groups that you might be a part of? How do you show up there? Now, do you show up loving and empowering and vulnerable and want to share, or do you show up as that person that wants to control the group, or to take ownership of everything in the group, even the other people? Well, I can tell you that you can't do that. We are all free to do these things and control what's in our circle. And what's really cool, when I was thinking about all of this stuff today, when I kind of come up with this idea that I wanted to talk to you guys about, I was thinking, okay, so I have this circle that I live in. So here's my circle, and I only have the ability to live in that circle and control what's inside that circle. Well, there is another circle kind of outside of that. I don't have control over it, but I do maybe have a little bit of influence in that circle. And a lot of that has to do with the relationships that we're in. And we have different relationships, as I mentioned. It might be with your kids, it might be with your spouse, it could be with friends, it could be with church people, all those kinds of things. And those people you may have some influence over, but you don't have any control. You can't control them. They're outside of your circle. Now, just like those of you that have children know that, we raise our children thinking that we have all this control over them, and really we don't. We just have influence. And I don't know how many of you have tried to do something. Again, our kids are older, but I remember times it'd be like, no, you need to do it this way. Do it this way. Do it this way. And it could have been and probably was the best way to do it. But I didn't have any power over that. I didn't have any control over that. I might have had influence, because really in the end it's still their decision. And the same is true in all kinds of other relationships that we have. We might have influence over that, but we don't have direct control. So you have to think about, how am I going to go through today in my circle, but be the best person that I can be while living in my circle? And a lot of that comes down to, I think, our beliefs, our attitudes, how we bring ourselves and show up in those situations. Do we show up in those situations as an encourager, as someone that loves other people and has love in our heart, deep in our heart for others? Or do we show up with these attitudes of, you're in my way, You're keeping me from something that I want, these disempowering beliefs that we may have about ourselves. Those are all things that really can keep us from having those good, strong relationships. And so I encourage you to think about that. Think about, what am I going to control in my circle? What do I have control over? Because I think if you sat down and you started writing a list about those things, I started out by talking about the weather. I don't have any control over the weather, none whatsoever. And if I have to get up in the morning and there's a big storm coming in, and a great example, this last weekend, or last Thursday night, we got a huge amount of snow in the mountains. There were ski resorts that got 3 feet of snow, more than 3 feet of snow. It was crazy. I-70, the main interstate that takes everybody up to the mountains and to the ski resorts, was shut down literally from Denver all the way up into the mountains and over to Eisenhower Tunnel and all that kind of thing. And it was crazy, but people wanted to get up there because the powder and the snow was immense and was amazing. Now, how many of those people had any control over the weather and the situation? None. They didn't have any control. So how did those people respond and react to that situation? Well, I would be willing to bet there were a lot of people that were on their way up there or were trying to get there or got stuck in or anything like that, did not have a great day. But again, that comes down to our choices of how we are living in our circle. Now, what's really cool about our circle, and this is something that I realized today that's awesome, is I thought about, what is it that I have outside of that circle? What is that circle made up of? And what I realized was that circle is made up of the community of people that I surround myself with. And that was really cool revelation for me, because I was like, those are the people that can help me, number one, stay in my circle, but they can encourage me in my circle. They can hold me accountable. If I'm trying to break out of that circle and all of a sudden I'm trying to take control, or I'm trying to move on, or I'm trying to do something that I really don't have any rights to do or responsibilities towards or anything like that, those people that I have made that circle with have the ability to be truthful and come to me and share that with me in a very loving way. Hold me accountable, but do it in a loving manner. And it doesn't have to be degrading. It doesn't have to be anything like that. So what I realized today is this circle that I choose to live in, this circle is actually made up of a community of people that I have built relationships with, that I trust, that I know will be truthful to me and won't tell me a bunch of crap, or they won't tell me something just to make me feel better, but they'll tell me the truth. And they'll share with me if I'm going off the rails, or if I am going down the wrong path, or maybe I am just not dealing with the situation in a great way. And that happens. Again, I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect by any means, and I make those mistakes all the time. But what's cool is now this circle that I choose to live in, when I think about it being surrounded by this community of people that share a lot of the same beliefs that I have, but not all. I mean, they all have their own beliefs as well, but that doesn't mean they can't be part of my circle. And that's what's just amazing about this. And now I'm going to take this one step further and think about, if we all could figure out, okay, I only have control over what's in my circle, and I'm the only thing in my circle. Now, I won't get into a lot of this tonight, but I also believe that God is part of that circle. He is a huge part of that, and He is really the only thing outside of myself that fits within that circle. Now, think about that. If we all are living in this circle, and that circle is actually made up of our community of people that we love and love us back. They encourage us. We trust them. They trust us. They hold us accountable for when we're going down the wrong path, or maybe we're reacting in a way that is not a good way, or maybe we're responding to a situation in a not so healthy manner. And those people are the people that actually can help us, bring us back and center us and put us back into our circle in that loving manner. Now think, if we all had that, there are going to be people in my circle that are also going to be part of your circle. And I was trying to draw this earlier, and eventually I'm gonna get a whiteboard in my office. I've actually got another room that I'm gonna set up as my studio for these kinds of things, and I've got some of it done, and I'll have more. I might have it all done, not done, but I'll have more of it set up by Thursday and be able to do my Facebook Live from that room. And but think about that, and the reason I bring that up, I want to put a whiteboard up there so I can do some writing on it and that kind of thing while I'm doing my Facebook Live. But so you're gonna have to bear with me as I try to explain this visual. But so we have our circle, right? So we're in this circle, and this circle that we're a part of is actually all of our community that we surround ourselves with, and those are the people that I just was talking about. Now, in that community, you're gonna have people that are also part of your community in that circle, and then they're gonna have people that are part of their community that are part of someone else's. Think about if we all were able to live in this way, how that could just grow exponentially if we actually took responsibility for only the things that are in our circle and the things that we have that control over. And that's our attitudes, our beliefs, our thoughts, our responses or our reactions to different things. Not even our circumstances. Now, some of our circumstances we put ourselves into. You know, if I'm speeding down the highway and I get pulled over and get a ticket, that's a circumstance that I put myself in because I was speeding. But if I'm driving down the highway, someone else is speeding and they lose control and we get in an accident and I get hit or whatever it might be, I didn't have control over that. Okay, so but if we all lived in this circle, and that circle was our surrounding community, and we all did that, we're all part of each other's community. Think how this could grow exponentially into this beautiful community of people that really all they want to do is make sure that they're only taking responsibility and controlling their own actions, and they're doing those types of things in a loving, trust-filled kind of way. I mean, our community would change. It'd be amazing. And that's kind of what I'm thinking, and really what Bowtie Living is if we all have the ability to take these knots that we've all experienced in life, these obstacles, these different things that have happened in our lives and created our lives as they are today, which is great. But if we can change all those things and transform those now into this Bowtie Living, where we're really only concentrating on those things, but we're also part of someone else's community, now part of their circle, and we are that encourager. We're that person that is holding them accountable in a very loving manner, not in a degrading or a demeaning or anything like that, but in a loving manner. Think about the community that could be built on something like that. It's funny, I tried to draw it here, and I'm looking at it, and now I'm looking at it upside down. It looks like a Mickey Mouse ear, or a Mickey Mouse hat with ears on it. It's kind of funny. But so think about that. First of all, think about, what does your circle look like? What do you have control of? And go through the day like that. When something is out of your control, then you get to respond or react, and that is a huge thing that you have control over. Do you respond or react in an angry, spiteful, get mad, get even, whatever it might be kind of way? Or do we look at it and say, okay, this is what's going on, and sometimes it sucks. Sometimes it's really bad, and it could be extremely painful. And that's okay. You know, we've got some stuff going on at home here. Nothing major, but there's some stuff that is different from our norm that has kind of popped up, and most of it was out of our control. But yet we still have to step up, and we have to live through it. We have to go through it. And so, but now with Bowtie Living, we can, what does Bowtie Living look like in our circle? It means that I get a choice today that I'm going to actually deal with those things as they are. It doesn't have to affect me negatively. I don't have to take it negatively. I don't have to let it define who I am. I don't have to let it define the action that I take. And you know, that's funny. There's actually people in the world that like to rile us up, that like to get our goat. And you know what? It's our choice on how we respond to that. If someone is mean, or the old saying, hey, who kicked your cat, because they're in such a bad mood, or whatever, and they want other people to experience the same thing. Well, listen, that's not part of my circle. That's your circle. You can choose to do that. You can stay in that if you'd like. But I don't want to. Now, again, I'm not perfect at it. I still fall down all the time. And I have situations that pop up. And especially my initial reaction is to get angry or upset or, bummed out or whatever it might be. And that's okay. It's okay to have those emotions. That's why God gave us emotions, so that we could experience them. But I don't have to live in those. I don't have to stay in those. And really the biggest thing is, those emotions do not have to define who I am as a human being anymore. And that's what's really exciting about all this. So I encourage you, look at that circle. Maybe sit down and write down what currently do you have in your circle? I'd ask you, is it love? Is it compassion? Is it encouragement? Is it understanding? Is it joy? Is it peace? Is it serenity? Is it empowering feelings like that? Or are you hurt? Are you sad? Are you angry? Are you bitter? What is it that you're allowing to come into your circle? And start by writing that out. And you could draw another bigger circle around that if you want to look at some of the things that you might have influence over, whether it's relationships or situations or circumstances. But again, those are only things that you influence, that you have no control over. You may have some influence in them. You don't have control. So I'd encourage you to write those down and then really look and say, okay, now this is where I've been, but where do you want to go? What do you want in your circle? I know for me, I want joy. I want happiness. I want peace. I want God for sure in my circle. I want Him to be helping me find all those things and bring those things into my life, regardless of the circumstances. But what do those look like? Because once we start to define those things, then all of a sudden we can start working towards them and looking for them and experience them on a regular basis, because those, again, are all choices. Whether we're angry or joyful, they're both a choice. And that's what's pretty powerful when you think about that. They are both the same choice. We choose if that situation makes us angry or grateful. People are like, how can I be grateful if someone hit my car in the parking lot? How can I be grateful and not angry about that? Well, I'm not saying you can't be bummed and that there's that you are bummed that your car got hit, but it's how you choose to respond to that. Who knows? There could be a great lesson in there for you. I don't know. There's all kinds of things that can happen, but as soon as I let go of that, as soon as I let go of having to control that and why did it happen, I don't know. I have no idea. It actually happened to me once. It was a number of years ago, but I came out to my car and it was trashed, and someone took off. And to this day, I don't know what the reason behind any of that was, but you know what? Back then, I did not handle it like I hope I would handle it today, because of the things that I've learned in my experiences and all these things that I've been sharing with you tonight. But we have a choice. Anger and gratefulness are both the exact same choice that we get to make. And I'm not here to say it's easy. Not here to say it's easy at all. There are times that I struggle very hard with, I just don't want to feel this way anymore. And in those times, I let myself feel that way, because it's okay. It's okay to be sad. Again, God gave us these emotions for us to experience, but it's what we do with those emotions and how we internalize those after the fact. Again, they're all just normal emotions, but we can have a better understanding of what those are. So what's in your circle? Figure out what it is. Is it good? Is it empowering? Is it something that wants you to move forward? Or where do you want to go? And as I always say, if that's something you want to talk about, you want to learn more about circles and what that looks like, again, I think I did mention this last week on my Facebook Live. I've launched Bowtie Living. I'm excited about it. You can get a little bit of information if you want to check out my website. Believe me, there's not a lot there yet. It's not all 100% functional, but you can check it out. It's bowtieliving.com. Go and you know what? I'd love feedback. Send me a note. Comment on the video, whatever it might be. I'd love to hear your feedback. But also, if you're looking to get any coaching or just talk and figure out what's going on and kind of get some stuff out, please reach out. I'd be honored to spend some time talking to you. So think about your circles. What's in them? What do you want in them? And then what is your community that makes up that circle around you? And do you have the right people in that circle? And I encourage you to really look at that, because you know what, we deserve to have loving, kind, encouraging people that will hold us accountable in our circle. So thank you guys. I do have 2 quotes. Of course, I can't end without a couple quotes. The first quote is, I don't know either of these 2 people that made them. I just found them online, but I thought they were awesome, so I'm going to read them to you. The first one was Lori Colwin, and she says that we know that without food, we would die. Without fellowship or community, life is not worth living. And it's so very true. You know what? Fellowship, community, your circle. Make that strong. And the second one is also on fellowship, again, our circle. And it's Ezra Taft Benson. And he said, the fellowship of true friends who can hear you out, share your joys, help carry your burdens, and correctly counsel you is priceless. And that's what I talked a lot about tonight. All those different things. Are they loving? Are they kind? Are they helpful? But do they also hold you accountable and are a great counsel for you? Thank you all so much for jumping on tonight. Like I said, I'm hoping to do these now twice a week, probably Wednesday or Thursday, and then going forward will probably be Sunday nights, and then either Wednesday or Thursday, not sure yet. In the meantime, please go check out the website, bowtieliving.com. Give me any feedback. Again, it's still under a lot of development, but I'd love to get your feedback. And I so am grateful for all of you that jumped on tonight. And if you'd like to chat, please reach out. Until we talk again, it's Will. I am the Bowtie Sober Guy. Peace out.